All right, we're finally 21.
21, off to the States.
21. Yes. Welcome to the 21st episode of I Needed This Today, the podcast that really is just me and Paisley talking about things that we want to talk about. And we don't really have a specific theme other than the fact that we're obsessed with relationships and Paisley's obsessed with his boyfriend.
Yeah, talking about art is usually our ongoing thing. Censorship, being cancelled is a big theme. It started off as the relationship podcast, went into the cancel me podcast.
Yeah.
Where do we go next?
Yeah, where are we going to go? Well, you know, the thing is, like, we live such, well, I would say, you know, alternate lifestyles in comparison to the general population or the mainstream population. What's taboo for us, you know, like things that we talk about might be taboo for a lot of people, but like what are our taboos? Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see where our next edge is.
Yeah, well, like I guess going straight into the Uncensor Me movement.
Let's do it. Yeah, Paisley birthed a movement this week, just casually.
Just casually birthed a movement, and you know, this has a bit of a backstory where it landed off the back of doing a clear around being an artist and a business person, where you can do this thing called a quadrant clear.
Yeah.
And you look at the different, like a quadrant of different ways of being an artist and business person.
The different combinations possible.
Yeah.
Right?
So being an artist and not a business person, being a business person, not an artist, not being an artist and not being a business person, and being an artist and a business person. So there's that 4 ways. I did that clear. I then also was guided to have, like a meditation guide was to say, reach out to Vic for a session. Like just, hey, do you want to do a session with me? Victoria Redbard, because she's a good friend and slaying in business. And then she put me in touch with someone to help me grow my business, like to hire someone to do that. So I was looking at all these different things around systems, around making more money, etc. And, you know, one of the things that were coming in is like, what if I were to do a big ticket offering, you know, like certain people around me are charging 10 to 20k to do their course, you know, each.
That's intense.
That's a lot, you know, and that's an edge that I'm like interested in, and like an edge of like what's taboo in a way for me right now. And I'd just done some clearing around it yesterday, was working with people that have more money than me, that are older than me, that have more influence than me, whatever it is, but like they want my magic, you know, like they could be a millionaire, a billionaire, and they might want something I have still, rather than just playing down to like people that have less money than me, that are younger than me, less experienced than me, whatever it is like to be able to reach the people above. You know, I was
financially
above, and because I was talking to someone the other day, and they're talking about how they're in this program with someone else we know, and they're like, yeah, this person has like millionaires, possibly even a billionaire in their program, and I'm sitting there watching going, shit, like why can't I have that, you know? And then we had a little clearing jam together on that. And yeah, that's a taboo for sure, is like when because I have people with bigger influences, bigger wealth, like bigger programs, etc. than me reach out to me often, but I often just go into like, oh yeah, teach me whatever you got, like I'll receive, rather than like, oh, you're coming to me for a reason, you know?
Totally. I feel that. I've been flirting with that for a while. I think it was a few years ago, maybe 2019. I was just doing a few sessions with a friend who's an awesome coach, badass coach. And we were playing with the idea of me creating a $12,000 offering for like a year-long thing, because at the time I was like, I want $250,000 a year. That's what I want. So we're like, all right, cool. So, you know, if I had 20 people paying $12,000, that would be $240,000 done. You know, the rest I can get from gigs, and it would be like one thing to sell, and it would be 20 people. Like, it's very clearly defined, you know, what it is. And I punked out. punked out, you know? I was just like, I can't do it. It was just way too overwhelming. And thinking about, you know, what kind of people and where do I find them and how do I talk to them? And I just shrunk away. I couldn't do it. And I think I still have, some pretty confusing narratives around money and how much money people are willing to spend to work with me. And also, is it ethical?
Yeah.
You know, like, is it ethical to charge a lot of money for a program? I don't know. Like, I'm working that out.
Yeah, well, that was, you know, something fascinating, you know, I've been looking at is, you know, when I had the chat with Vic and then had a chat with this other coach and moving into working with them, I was talking about like having this big audience right now, like semi-big, micro influencer of 12,000 people on my Instagram, plus people in my Telegram, plus people on my mailing list, etc. But then only like selling things like the Spiral and Shapeshifters, which is, they're both a few thousand each, right? And that's still a lot for some people to commit to.
Totally.
And I don't really have anything that's a lower end offering. And I was like, you know, I've never run a webinar or a free thing to get lots of people in. I've never known what it would be that would catch enough people into like the net. And it's so fascinating. Like, I literally had a meeting about it, and the next day was when this movement started.
You blew up.
And like before, like the thing in the funnel beforehand of like capturing people into me was just this tile alone, you know? Then comes the webinar, and it's like, cool, I have this offering now. It's $22, and like however many people have signed up, I haven't checked yet, but I feel like it's close to 100 people.
That's dope.
That's not lots of money, but it's lots of people connecting with me and going, oh, like, this is what Paisley's magic is about. This is what his transmission is. Oh, I'd love to work with. Maybe they'll be like, oh, I want to do the Spiral now. I want to do Shapeshifters. Or maybe I end up releasing this $10,000, $20,000 ticket thing, you know?
Totally. Or maybe you do like personalize the funeral rictuals for like $10,000.
Yeah.
Like, that would be so dope.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something along those lines that is now like, cool, I've figured out, you know, this webinar may not be a thing forever, but I've cracked it at least now. It's like, okay, I have done as of tomorrow when you listen, I will have done my first webinar, you know, like, so that's something that is an edge, you know, that has been an edge. Oh, how do I create something? That's what was taboo to me, but then I did it, you know, and it's like the two sides for me. It's like something that's really small and something that's humongous, you know? The middle range has been fairly easy for me, selling the Spiral, selling the funeral, selling Shapeshifters, etc. But, you know, this anywhere that's like, you know, between 500 and 3,000 has been pretty safe for me.
Yeah.
But, or maybe 4,000's the highest ticket. But yeah, getting up to 5 figures as a sale, as an edge, that's taboo to me, you know?
Totally.
Mentally it makes sense. Yeah, cool. I feel like people would want that from me, but like to embody it, to be in the being of it,
And to action it.
to make the sales, to do all the things.
Yeah, it's tough. For those of you who don't know, like, let's talk about this movement, because you're probably sitting going, if you're not on Instagram anyway, you'd be like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
So if you are on Instagram, you'd know that for a long time now, Instagram has been doing some wild and wacky things in the realm of censorship. So, you know, nipples, naked bodies,
even censored naked bodies.
Even censored pictures of naked bodies, yeah. What else? Like even swear words, certain words like sex or
self-pleasure.
It's all
cock,
getting flagged as
pussy.
Inappropriate content. All of it gets flagged as inappropriate content. And if you get a few warnings, you can have your whole account pretty much the whole account just deleted.
Out of nowhere, no warning. And then, but also, it's not just that, because to me, on my side of the spectrum that's my most understandable one, though I don't agree around, like, sex education being banned and bodies being censored, and even censored bodies being censored, is that, you know, things like, I feel okay with name dropping because of it's public, is like Michelle Patrick, you know, being banned for just talking about natural immunity.
And talking about wellness and health and how amazing the human body is.
Because it's alternative medicine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So she had her whole Facebook profile taken down. And anytime she talks about the spleen or the kidneys
period.
All of these words are censored.
You gets automatically deleted.
It's great. So the hashtag natural immunity, if you type that hashtag into Instagram, you'll see it comes up with an automated message and says basically you can't search this hashtag and it's a dangerous hashtag.
Hashtag. So fucked. You know.
So there's health, and then there's also censorship on like any counter narratives to the COVID vaccine stuff.
Yes.
Immediate like squash. There's that, and like even Atlas has heaps of stuff that's getting censored all the time, which is strange.
Atlas right now, Atlas Talisman, who's been on this podcast, like just can't even post a caption right now with his pictures. Can't share stories, and like to my understanding, he posts really safe content. Like it's not. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if it's because he's talking about crypto and
maybe.
now that Facebook is now trademarked the metaverse, that's like you can't talk about anything unless it's through the Facebook portal. I have no clue, but he's being banned. Leah gets banned for talking about wealth abundance and whatnot, like and going against like the paradigm that keeps us poor.
She talks about slavery consciousness a lot. So there's that.
So like it's all different places of just being censored, and there's all these things going on. You may have seen people getting their links removed, people like Facebook saying your business policy is terrible, so we're removing your users and your followers, and like just random shit like that. And then there's this artwork going around that said
your very existence
goes against our community guidelines. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm putting that over a picture of me. And I posted it up. I just was like, no thought to it. Just like, yep, put that up, say a little thing, move on with my day.
Goes
right?
viral.
And then it gets shared everywhere. And then in my Telegram channel, I put it in there and I said some other things I didn't want to say on Instagram because of censorship.
Yeah.
And then Vic's like, hey, you should make me one. We'll start a movement. And it was, again, just another offhanded comment. And then I made her one. And then I was like, oh. Posted it and was like, anyone else want one?
Yeah.
And then hundreds of comments. Me. And it just became like my inbox and comments was flooded. And how I was talking about earlier about I wanted to bring in systems, and like I've always struggled around hiring people. I had just hired one person as an assistant. Now there's 5 people working on this project right now underneath Vic and I, and because we can't keep up with how many people need these tiles. And then also because so many people coming through, and people are like, oh, we want to work more, we want some assistance. Cool. We'll gather us together. We'll have a webinar, super cheap, or super affordable, $22 each, and then put that up. And then heaps of people wanted that as well. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we have to hire people just to reply to these comments, send the links, make the tiles, make this all work seamlessly. Just automatically, just by naming the things, having the meetings, talking about it, doing some clears, shit just shifted for me very quickly. And it's really great that also, again, people with more wealth, more influence, more age, whatever you want it is, are all a part of this movement. Some people with 1 million following have posted it. Some people that are multimillionaires have posted theirs, They're reaching out and be like, the thing you're doing right now is amazing, I want to be a part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel like, it's something that we can even know consciously, but again, to embody it, when something clicks into place and then it happens with ease, that's like what, we talk about alignment. Lots of people who are teaching manifestation, whatever, talk about alignment. When it's aligned and it's in flow, it can happen easily. It doesn't mean that you're not still working. It doesn't mean that you're not creating or that you're not participating. It just means that you're not going against the flow of things. You're not pushing against, right? And I think that's it's so fascinating to see, like, you could be doing the same shit you're doing, but then one little piece energetically clicks in.
Yeah.
Like, you're clear, you know?
Yep.
You were already doing this. You're
already
You're already talking about expression. You're already talking about this, doing that. You've got the things. Then one thing slides in, then this opens up, then boom, you know, floodgates open and abundance happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a fascinating thing when that happens, right? And it's always the light touch as well. Like you said, you were like, oh, I'll just put this graphic over my picture. You know, you didn't think about what would happen. You just did the thing in the moment, and that's ironically what takes off. You know, the amount of times you've done that, right? I'll just do this post real quick, go to bed, wake up, and it's like, oh my god, everyone loves it.
Oh my god, it's gone wild. I need to capitalize on this. I need to monetize this, whatever it is. And like, you know, it's a fascinating thing. So I have a spiral round starting next week. And I'm like, oh, I've got to sell more spots, and everything has just been saying to me, like, just stay with the amount you've got, you know? I'm like, yeah, but I like to make X amount of sales, which makes X amount of money, and it gives X amount of energy in the container. And I just kept, when I'm meditating, getting this message of like, just leave it, you know? Something else is going to happen. And then something else has happened, and I've been making any of the money that I was meant to make there, and any of the influence and impact I was meant to make there, and the transmissions I was going to give has now, you know, 10x'd.
Yeah.
20x, 100x, you know?
Just to trust it, huh?
Yeah.
Just trust, yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm talking to you, not at the microphone. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. I always do that, and then I kind of trail off. I do. I tend to do that. I kind of trail off. So, all right, so Uncensored Me movement, and now there's a webinar happening which is going to talk about unapologetic expression with Vic Redbard, and then, you know, who knows what that's going to turn into after that, Yeah,
we're going to feel into what's there, and when you're listening to this, if you listen to it on the Wednesday that it releases, it's tomorrow at 9 a.m. And also, if you can't make that and you hear this afterwards, but you still want that webinar, it'll be available on replay.
Cool.
So you can still pay $22 and you get the transmission from Vic and I about where we're moving with this movement and the pieces that you need to be unapologetic and take your shit to the next level.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've been thinking about it a lot because, okay, a little segue and make it about me.
Yes.
Everyone, ding, 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 ding. This is the moment where Alpha makes it about her. But it's related, right? Because, you know, the content of yours and mine that tends to get censored is sexually explicit stuff, right? Or even if it's not explicit, even if it's just, you know, alluding to sexual content, then that tends to get flagged and censored. And I just keep thinking, like, Instagram is obviously a public platform.
Yes.
There are a lot of families there, a lot of children. You know, of course, they're going to want to make sure that the content is safe for the general population, which I understand. But what's the alternative? And the reason why I'm bringing it up and making it about me is because, you know, I want to step into a new line of work because I've been doing coaching for a while and mentoring, clearing, and that's cool. But I want to step into this new role of being a conscious, basically, the word dropped in today actually, and it's courtesan, a conscious courtesan, and it's, I guess, a form of sex work, if you will, even though I won't be having sexual intercourse or penetration with any of my clients. The context is more like coaching in the context of a relationship. But where do you advertise this? Like, where do you talk about it? Because you can't just openly talk about that. Like, you will get censored, you will get flagged. So what I'm saying is, or what I'm asking is, like, where are the alternatives? And who's creating them? Because there's a bunch of, you know, people sitting around being like, oh, I'm censored. Well, what's the alternative to Instagram? What are the new platforms? Where are they? And who's creating them? And are we investing in them? If they exist, why don't we all jump on them, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own Telegram channel now, but that's not really social. That's like my channel.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of a different platform. We don't really surf a lot in Telegram. And it's not really algorithmic in that sense.
Yeah. That's what I love about it, is like, because I don't surf on Instagram. I hate surfing. I think it's so bad for everybody. Then how do you expose yourself to new people? That's the question, right? We still have Instagram, you know, and, you know, I will never let go of Instagram unless it becomes a dying thing like MySpace or like Facebook, but I can still be my half-censored version of myself on there, and then drive people into where they've got to go. You know, that's what I've been doing on my Telegram, growing it, and then there's other spaces, but you know, there's so many different, like, here we go, we're on a podcast.
Yeah.
How do we, like, we can grow on that?
What I'm talking about is an algorithmic platform like Facebook or Instagram, because the benefit of that is that you come across these new profiles that you hadn't heard of, and you love their content, and then, you know, you go follow them.
Well, Spotify has an algorithm that you can pop up on if you get...
For music and podcasts.
Yeah,
for sure. But I'm talking about... I mean, maybe, I guess if you're a sex worker, you could put out a podcast and use Spotify, for sure. You definitely could. I'm curious to see, actually, what podcasts there are for sex workers. I'm going to check that out. But yeah, I mean, I just think that... someone surely is creating alternatives to Facebook and Instagram. And I'm just more curious as to, like, why don't we use those alternatives? Like, why do we stick with Instagram and Facebook? At least, I'm not saying leave Facebook and Instagram, but try some of these other ones and back them and support them if there's more, if there's less censorship and more freedom, you know? That's what I'm saying. Or Rumble, I guess, is a video platform. Yeah. All the anti-vaxxers are on Rumble. I mean, I've watched some videos on Rumble, but the format confuses me still. I'm not used to it. So
that's the thing. It's comfort, you know? Like, we know how the platform works. We know how to operate the systems. We have followings there. Then you go to something else and you're like, it's too confusing. I don't understand. That was once Instagram. That was once Facebook when we were on MySpace. That was
me on TikTok.
That's on TikTok, you know? Like, you go onto a new interface and like, it's too hard basket. You know?
I'm such a boomer.
But yeah, that's a lot about what we want to talk about. A section, a slice of the pizza of what we want to talk about on the webinar is like about what Web 3.0 means, you know, and like how we're in 2.0 right now, and how that changes over what's coming, and how we prepare ourselves and really, like, more than like we all have to go to Rumble or we all have to go to this. It's like, no, what's the internal systems we have to look at to prepare ourselves for the shift.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like, what is our old paradigms that we're running, and how do we move into the new paradigm as well as a new paradigm of internet and web and social.
Nice. I like that question, just to see what comes out of that question. It's nice. Cool. All right. What's next? Well, so the last few weekends I've been staying at different places across Sydney and the regional areas of New South Wales with friends that live in these very decadent, opulent, massive properties, houses. You know, the one I was just at last weekend was 5 bedroom, 5 lounge room, 6 bathroom, 2-story, like had just artworks that must all be $100,000 plus, like all littered across the house, pools, big property, spa, and then the last one I was at, I think it was 7 bedroom. Both of them had guest houses as well, actually, that I'm not including. Wow.
Yeah, massive artworks, pool, spa, and like, obviously it costs a lot. And a whole lot more than I'm paying here right now, but just in that weekend there alone, and you know, I'm maybe considering it into this wealth change that's going on in my life right now, is how I've had these weekends away in these spaces and lived a bit of that lifestyle. Is like, I feel like, you know, we do preach be do have, but sometimes also can you get into the being of the have? I don't know if that makes sense, but like, cool, I'm going to commit. I'm going to be the person, I would say, that can afford X amount, you know? Like, for instance, we were looking at a place that was going to be the three of us, $2.5 a week. And we're like, should we just do a summer there, you know? And that's $30,000. But to me, I feel like if I'm next to the beach, I have a pool, I have a spa, I have a massive house where I could if I really wanted to, not see you two for a whole day or two or three, you know, where I had my own space, my own big property. I feel like my nervous system would have more capacity to hold more abundance, more money, more clients, more influence. And that's what I really been getting these last few visits at these different places of like, what if I made this happen? You know, just rather than being in any scarcity of, I can't afford this, just like taking a bit of my own medicine of like commit first and sort the rest later. Like,
Oh, yeah.
all right, if you accept me, you know, if I show you how much money I have in my bank account, how much I make, what my last year annual amount was, like, can I make this happen, you know?
I hear that. There's a quote that's coming to mind. I don't know. I think it might be Anais Nin, but I could be wrong. And it is, life grows or shrinks in direct proportion to one's courage. And I feel like it's kind of like, you know, however much you need, you will just grow to like meet that. Like when I was living at home with my folks, I wasn't paying any rent. And then I was so terrified about getting a lease because I knew I would have to pay rent on time every week, and I was terrified. And, you know, from paying zero rent and struggling financially to then paying $430 per week every week. And I just did it. There was not one single week that I had to be late or that I missed or that I couldn't afford it. I just grew to fit that new container, you know? So I totally think that can absolutely happen, but I think you do need to be semi-responsible for your systems and your support, and whether that's internal or external.
Yeah. You know, that's the thing, you know, I wonder of like, if it were somewhere, for instance, this house we're looking at, it was at a month-by-month lease that you had possible. I was like, should we just give $10,000 each and then just like, that might burn all our savings, but
we'll expand because we're living there.
Will we expand? And if not, like, we terminate and go back somewhere else, you know, and we might not have savings, but at least we have an income, you know, like, or we might have savings. I don't know what everyone else's money is like, but that's my thing, is like, what if I did that, you know, rather than like committing to something. It's like a 6-month lease that you pay week by week, and what if I fuck up after 2 months, you know? It's like 3 months, here's the money, you know. I have some friends that just did that, you know, they put a big figure and just paid all of their rent for their whole lease for a massive home. Like, cool, like, you don't have to pay rent for all that time. Obviously food and I don't know if their power and whatnot is included, but phone and whatever subscriptions you have.
Just taken care of.
Like, you got to still take care of them, but your rent's taken care of, that big thing. So yeah, that's what I'm sort of looking at, is like, you know, sometimes here and there I'll buy like some nice clothes just to be like, this is who I am, you know, like
feel it,
to feel it, and whatever it is, like go to a nice restaurant or well, I don't know, whatever else it is, good piece of jewelry that's like, when I wear this, like I buy it with intention. When I wear this, when I eat this, when I go here, that means that this is the kind of life I live, and by doing that, I'm actually in the being. Yeah.
Well, I think it's like you're having, so what you have is showing you what you're being, in a sense, right? Because they're all interconnected. Like, if you go out and you buy an expensive piece of jewelry or a nice shirt or whatever, that it activates the part of you that already is that. Because on some level, you already are. And in quantum realities, you are dirt poor. In a quantum reality, you are a fucking billionaire. Like, all of those possible realities exist at the same time. So any moment, any choice that you make, any action you take, or anything that you do is a reflection of one of those potential identities, right? So you get to choose which one you activate in any given moment.
You know, I'm fascinated by the opposing side of like someone like Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, how Steve Jobs, they just wore like plain t-shirts and normal jeans, you know, they weren't wearing the most fucking wealthy, expensive stuff. They were just like super rego dudes. Are rego dudes, and like a few people that we know of that have more money than us wear quite regular, normal clothes. You know, that other side of like, you don't need those things.
Well, totally. But like, what I've been thinking about lately is, well, what is our personal definition of wealth and success? You know, I admit that it's a bit of a kink to think about living in a mansion, you know, like having a spa and a pool, and I definitely love the opulence of that. And also part of me is like, but do I need that? Do I need to live in a 7-bedroom mansion, you know, with all of this land? Like, is that necessary? Especially when I know, and you know, this is my my activist coming out, but like, especially when I know that there are people who can't even afford to, you know, like live in a tiny ass flat. Like, it's part of me feels like, oh, is that the most ethical way that I can live my life, you know? And that's why I am drawn to living in community. For me, my ideal situation would be we have an intentional community, you know, where it's like there's a piece of land there's water very nearby, it's gorgeous, fertile land, we have our own gardens, but everyone kind of has their own bit of privacy, but also it's connected, you know? So we do some things together and we do some things privately, and there's a shared studio, and then there's this. Like, for me, communal living really lights me up, because I feel like, cool, I don't think everyone needs their own individual fucking lawnmower. Like, why do we all need one of each thing, you know?
Yeah.
I love the idea of sharing resources, but also I don't want you to be up in my face all the time.
Yeah.
I want to have some space and, you know, do that. So that's my ideal thing. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about one person having like 100 houses on huge land, knowing that, you know, the earth is finite. And human population is growing, and how does that work? Like, what happens, you know, when one person has more and more and more and more, then unfortunately there's less for others.
Yeah, I hear that. Like, I think one of my most ideal things is like you have, like community living, sharing resources, having our own space. But that's one of the things I'd love to do, you know, like, and do I think that's probably the best for the earth and the community and for the world and for purpose, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course. But do I also want to live in a mansion for some point in my life? 100%. Do I want to live in mansions for my whole life? No. Maybe when I go in there, I'm like, actually, yeah, no. I'm not going back to any of that other fucking shithouse community shit. But, like, no, I want to do everything, you know? And I have lived in a big place before with 3 pools and water slides and 2 spas and like lived in a big resort once before. But I was 17 and I didn't fully understand what was going on. I wasn't grateful for it whatsoever. I was like, I just want to be in the fucking shitty house in Maryland with my friends, you know? Yeah. That was what was more important to me back then. Is like, I'll live in a shit house if I can be with all my friends, you know? We don't even have a room each. We're all fucking surfing couches and punk squat on the ground, you know? That was way more better than this multi-million-dollar apartment in a resort.
Feel lonely.
Yeah. It was that my community, my people weren't there. But then when I look back, I was like, oh, fuck, I was living so healthy. I was going, like, I had a gym inside there. I went to gym. I went to the beach every day. I sunbathed. I saved money. You know, I did all these things which were really good for me. And then I went and became a full-time raver, smoking bongs and not exercising, became pasty white.
Yes. Well, that's why I say that, like, for me, that opulent mansion experience, it's a kink, you know? It's not like, I don't like to, for example, I don't like anal all the time, you know? But it's a kink. Every now and then, I like it, you know? It's the same with, like, living in an opulent mansion, like, I don't know if I would be happy to live that reality all the time, but I think because I haven't fully experienced it, it's something that I'd like to get to experience. And then once you're there, you can see, like, cool, is this what I want? Is it sustainable? Does it feel ethical? Does it actually make me feel alive? Because, you know, we often have these dreams, right? And we think, when I get this thing, then I'll feel this. Yeah. Right? And it's putting the have before the be, right? It's like, when I have the perfect partner, when I find the one, then I'll feel fulfilled, or I feel happy, or when I make $1 million. You
keep hitting this mic.
Sorry. When I have $1 million, then I'll get a better microphone stand. Then I'll feel this. And it might work. It might, like, you might meet your person, or, you know, hit your $1 million target or whatever, or finish the album or release the album, and you might feel that feeling of fulfillment. You might go, fuck yes, this is the sweetest feeling. I achieved my dream. But what often happens is you do it and you don't feel that. You don't feel the way you thought you were going to feel. Because the target then just moves.
Yeah.
It's like you get there and it's like, oh, now I got to make 20 million now. Or,
Yeah.
oh, now I got to have kids. Oh, now I got to do this.
Of course. Well, it's fascinating. Like I said, like that was the thing I'm trying to say is obviously I've only been at these places for weekends, but as soon as I enter the spaces, I'm like, like my nervous system is instantly recouping, regenerating, and I talk to the people that live there about their experience, especially these people who formerly lived in Sydney and then moved out and moved into these big places where they're paying just a little bit less for something so much smaller. They're like, yeah, like I've just been resting, I don't work as much, I nap more and get more done, and this is different for different people, but this is the thing for me is like, I don't know if it's a kink for me, like, because I feel like I can utilize the space, outside of when we're in COVID and we can't do the things, like when we had the God Queen house, we had extra rooms, but that was used for people traveling on tour. They were saving resources. They were putting on workshops rather than having to spend more somewhere else. Here I got to do one concert and then lockdown happened. But like we used resources, we created community here, rather than having to all live in a community space. It's like, here's where you come and have the community moment and then we go away and like, also in God Queen and here we have resources here such as like the studio light that's just here. People that are part of our community, they can come borrow this light, aka lawnmower, like they don't have to live on the same property to do that. And this place is big, like only now that Tim's here is the mystery room getting used. It's not the mystery room anymore, it's Tim's office. Before it was a mystery room where nothing really happened in there. On a rare occasion a ritual or something would happen, or a photo shoot. And that's, I feel like given the right circumstances, no matter how big the mansion is, I believe we could expand into it and make it resourceful, ethical, do all the right things, that we are conductors of resources and community and drawing energy in and putting creations out. Like we have that synergy with the world, that no matter where we go, how big or small the place is or the resources we have, we can do that. But I just know at the same time, you with this mic here right now versus you with a full-blown studio.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure.
What are you going to do?
I think it's important to, because I feel like it's cool, we've sort of crossed over to using the language of resources, and that's really what it's about. Like for me, wealth is about resourcefulness. It's about, can you access resources so that you can bring about your will, so that you can create and manifest in the world. A few years ago, I created a mantra for myself when I wanted to bring in this new reality, and because it's always like, all right, being an artist is the fucking worst thing, where you want to make an album, you have to fund it yourself, so you're constantly having to find resources and make money to pay for the art that you want to make to contribute to the world, right? It's the ultimate frustration. So the mantra that I came up with was infinite resources to create, infinite resources to create, and it just kept going around and around.
Nice.
And I feel like only this year have I began to actually embody that and feel like moving over from it's fucking like, it happened so subtly that I didn't even clock it, but it just happened gradually. Like that scarcity that you get, that constricting feeling that you get when your money is getting low and you have something to pay for, like you've got a bill coming up or the rent or whatever, and you know that you don't have enough to cover it. And for me, I remember that visceral feeling of like, it's like there's a hand on your heart and it's gripping you and you can't breathe properly and you're panicking, and in the back of your fucking mind there's this feeling that I'm not gonna survive. It's the fucking
how am I gonna
worst
survive?
feeling. And you go into a shame spiral. For me, I'm just speaking on myself, but I'm ashamed now because I don't know how to do life, and I'm hopeless, and I'm a fucking failure, and I'm always gonna do this, and I'm an eternal child, I don't know how to live, and all this stuff fucking comes up, right? And I feel like something clicked for me this year where that just has not been my reality. Every bill that I've had to pay the money has been there. And I'm not really thinking about money. I'm more feeling resourced. I'm more feeling provided for. And, you know, I don't have like very, very clear financial targets anymore. My priority this year has been pleasure, rest and relaxation.
Yeah.
And has been feeling good and feeling feelings.
Yeah.
You know, I've had like lots of relationships this year and spent probably the most money I've ever spent on body work ever this year.
You've been doing lots of body work.
I've been doing so much fucking body work and just nervous system recovery.
Yes.
And what I have seen happen is that my bank is always I always have more than I need. Like right now I have like $8,000 in my bank and I'm just chilling, you know?
Yeah.
That for me, something has fucking shifted. And I love this language around seeing money as a resource, because there's so much fucking taboo around money. There's so much pain around money. There's so much story around it, so much charge. Whereas if we can just shift and say, cool, money is a currency, it's a language, you know? The currency could be anything, but it's just a symbol of resources.
Yeah.
You don't need to have X amount of money to create the album if you have resources, right?
Yeah.
If you have access to a studio and a producer and you know how to play instruments and blah, 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 you could do it without money.
Yeah.
But money just makes it easier because you have more choice.
Yeah. You don't have to do everything. You can do what your mastery's in.
Totally.
Like, yeah, of course, more resources, you know? Something you're just saying there around money, you know, and just tracking different things that happen in my life. I don't know how far this Unsensor Me movement will go, but I do see it having a lot of traction, and I've already made a pleasant amount of money, a pleasant amount of followers from it, a pleasant amount of people subscribing to my Telegram and mailing list and etc. And you know how we were talking about earlier, it was just on a whim that happened, and everything that I have done has happened with me. You know, I haven't forced it. I haven't had to think about it. Maybe shapeshifters is the only thing, but like originally was I ran a blog, a hip hop blog, and that just happened. I just wrote about it, and then someone's like, hey, you should make a website. Here, I'll help you, blah, blah, blah. That goes up. That comes the #1 SEO of Australian hip hop blog. Then I was like, oh, I think I might do some cypher videos for the blog. And then I reach out to someone, and then they're like, hey, we should do this as an event. And that was Viking, and he had fight music there. He didn't really do anything with it, but he had it there. It's like, cool, let's do Poetry Runs Deep and Fight Music presents this cypher event. That just happened. Then they were working on Neri Viking, which is Ben Smacktown at the time, were working on an EP, and they were signed to someone else who didn't like me and originally, and they wouldn't pay for something to happen that was going to really help them. And I was like, here, like, let's just make it happen. Like, I'll chip in. I want to see this happen. And I was like, and then he was like, oh, like, the label wouldn't do that. And I was like, what if we just release it through your label? And then he's like, hey, how do you feel about running the label? Okay, you know?
Yeah.
Then I think next was social media marketing. Like, we're somewhere and you introduced me to someone. They're like, hey, do you want to take over my social media? Okay. And the next person, can you take it? Oh, here's a social media business. The Spiral were one of my social media clients. They were like, I was just at a meeting of theirs. They're like, are you coming to the next prac training? I didn't think about it, but okay. You know, I did a trade with Dane for some social media stuff. Like, the funeral. I had to do it when me and Atlas were on a tour. We're playing Vicarious, and one of the things we had to unlock was being a celebrant. And I was like, hey, I know this burying process. Does anyone want that? And just heaps of people reached out, and I was like, oh, I'm only really meant to be doing it for one person. Did it for one person, and then I was like, people were like, can you make this an event? I'm like, okay. Here's the funeral, you know, like each thing as we go on, it's just like, here's a thing that I have or I'm passionate about and I do. I mention it once and everyone's like, yes. And it's like, you know, so often we're forcing things that aren't meant to happen, or, you know, we get caught in like, I don't know what to do. It's just like, just just do, you know, just be in what you're doing and just allow it to keep happening. It's like when people's singles blow up or whatever. It's like all of a sudden, you know, like Dance Monkey from
Tones and
I, or like I know so many people. I've hung out with an artist named Proxy, and I think maybe I told the story. He was making songs for a record label he just got signed to. They're like, none of these songs work, and then he made a song called Raven as like I'm just gonna troll them, like, and just send them the shittest song I possibly can, just to piss them off because they keep saying no, and they're like, yep, this is it. And that where it took him from Russia all across the world for 10 years straight.
Yeah, but you know, I think it's worth mentioning that, because what you were talking about just now, you did this and then that unfolded and this happened. It feels like a slipstream, right? It's like, oh, this unlocks the next phase. I think what I would call is that's like you're surfing the golden thread, you know?
Yes.
I always call that the golden thread. It's like, it's that amazing feeling that you're being divinely guided, that you're surfing the waves, that you're in the sweet spot, you know? And sometimes it requires a little bit of like maneuvering around to surf that golden thread. But I think something about you that's actually unique to you is you exude an energy that is very, what's the word? Like, it's very personable and warm, and you have this like open-hearted nature that you're not like a fucking sad cunt. Like, let's just put it that way. Like, I know that's really like rude almost to say that, but you know, a lot of people's energy is crap.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Yeah.
You know, like some people unfortunately just are really bogged down by life, and maybe it's not even just their trauma. Sometimes at the basic level, people just aren't that bright a spirit. You know, some people we have unique personalities. You happen to be someone who has this curiosity and openness, and you say yes to life, and you put yourself there, and you animate your life with your spirit, you know? And I think that is what makes life more easeful in some ways, because, you know, people are more likely to want to be in your space, to help you, to support you, to say yes, you know, whereas I see a lot of people who are struggling, and when I tune in to why they're struggling, it's because you got shit energy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry to say, but a lot of people have trash energy.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And like, you know, I've had this reported to me multiple times, often you as well, reporting that to me, and you know, that's a blessing, and it's something I do try and work on. In plus is just natural to me, you know, due to, I don't know, collection of things of life.
Who knows what your karma is from your past
what my
life.
Karma is, what my horoscope is, what my gene keys are, what my wealth dynamics is, all the things that go on, what my tarot deck says. And then also that's a big thing I have to work on, and the thing of following that golden thread is like it might slip, like it might fall into this slipstream, and it happens effortlessly, but also it does take packaging and like utilizing it and knowing how to deliver it to people once it's there. Like, you know, sometimes golden threads happen and we miss them, we don't follow them, and I did some clears around that with this Uncensor Me movement around, like, I had some shame in my third eye. I did a chakra clear between the lines of this movement, and shame was like, if so-and-so, I won't give names, but this person, that person, these wealthier, older, more wise, experienced, influential people had this, they would grow up bigger than me, and like, what if it only goes for another 2 weeks, and then someone else is like, if I had what Paisley had, I could have taken it here, rah. And it's like, I had to blow off all of the charge around it, and do lots of clears, and now trusting it's like I will make the most out of exactly what's here. And you know, then also trusting there's been things like fight music that was my purpose, is everything to me, and then eventually he was like, and your purpose continues, but it's not through that vehicle anymore. It's time to park that car and hop into the next one, because of that one's
Yes.
It's out of juice. No petrol, no stations around, no nothing.
Yes. I try and teach this to my clients when we're on level 7 of the spiral and we're talking about purpose. Purpose is not so much about the what.
Yeah.
Purpose is more about you deciding to make something meaningful and to make it matter and to put your whole ass behind it, like to put your energy and your life force behind what you are doing. Someone without purpose doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing in life. It just means that they're going about their life with no sense of like their life means something, you know? I see purpose as being like a sense of like, this fucking matters and I'm going to actually give my energy to it.
Yep.
And if you have that, then it doesn't matter what happens to your business or your career or your blah, blah, blah. It's like your car's broken, get a new one. You know how to drive.
Yeah,
you know? That's
exactly.
kind of the analogy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to get water, but tell the people good things.
Well, you know, we're talking about the things that die and then you keep it going forward around purpose is like all of those things I just mentioned before was all of it does tie around being unapologetic. And that's always been my message. That's what we decided on for this upcoming webinar. But Poetry Runs Deep was I was drawn to write about artists and music and events and all these different expressions that were from unapologetic artists. Then when I did one mic in this cipher, I would get this level of community that was unapologetic by doing these ciphers. It's like you have this moment to be in community and be unapologetic. Then the label, like we were the anarchists, we were very unapologetic, and then we moved more into spirituality, unapologetic. And same with the spiral, same with shapeshifters. It's always been my purpose is to be unapologetic, and that's all the businesses, all the vehicles, all the people that I worked with was about the expression of being unapologetic. That's the purpose for me, is that like you can be unapologetically you and make it work in life, that you don't have to apologize and do the job that you don't want to do, or apologize and not love the trait of yourself that is there, or whatever it is always for me being about like how do you unapologetically meet life in a way that you are radically loving yourself or radically expressing yourself in a manner that heals others. And that's always been the vehicle for me, is that, or the driving, you know, the driving force, that the vehicle can change throughout different businesses. And, you know, who knows if I'm forever going to do the spiral or the funeral or shapeshifters or this Uncensored Me movement. I am open to it changing. Obviously, I'm attached to it at the same time, but I'm also willing to move through it when that comes. And that's I went through it with Fight Music. I literally went through it big time.
You keep talking and you say unapologetic, and it's so funny because that's like an and then apologetic is the actual descriptor, right? And I'm trying to think like, what is the opposite of apologetic? And then I started feeling into like, what is apology, like to be apologetic? And you can see it when people, to me, it's a frequency of shame. When people have this shame that they're carrying around them, and it's unconscious, you know, it's often not at the forefront, but you can see it in a person's physiology. You can see it in their face, and you can see it when a person doesn't carry a lot of shame in their field. Like you can feel it. It's like this level of presence that they have in the world, this level of like shine and openness that's kind of there. And yeah, like I've been around a lot of people because I've been dating this year, you know, and I can just sense, like, you know, obviously doing the work we do, you can get a sense of frequencies, and like I can feel this frequency of unconsciousness and shame that comes in. And what I notice the most is that when someone is carrying a lot of shame, they don't allow themselves true havingness, like true pleasure. They don't allow themselves to have things, like to have love or to have intimacy or to have connection. There's like this cap, there's this limit to the degree that they can really enjoy and experience life. And I think like that to me is like the biggest factor, you know, that is the make or break in terms of how you show up in life and what you create, and how much of a good time you can have here is how much shame are you carrying in your body and how apologetic are you about your existence. Yeah.
I am like, you know, we've talked about this in previous podcasts, is like I'm so militant around self-responsibility, and a big part for me is like, one of the things that trigger me the most is, and some people really want it in life, but I hate it, is like people that are sorry everything, like, sorry, I just need to get something from the fridge.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I just need to walk past you. Sorry, I haven't sorted the clothes in my room, It's like, I don't care, like, but I actually do care. Now I'm annoyed, like, stop apologizing to me. It makes me feel like I have to tell you it's okay or something when I don't want to tell you it's okay. It's like, go sort your shit out. Like, that's a big trigger for me, is like people that say sorry a lot. I watched this TikTok the other day, and it's like, someone like walks into the room and the other person's in there. It's like when you both have like shame around asking for things or whatever, and the person comes in, it's like, hey, I'm so sorry to bump in. They're like, no, I'm so sorry. Like, turn on the light. It's like, I just have something to ask you, but I don't want you to feel like I'm mad at you. I'm sorry if it feels that way. And they're like, no, I won't get mad. I know you're not mad. I'm sorry. I'm actually getting really upset right now, and it's not about you. And it's like this thing, and I've seen it in people so often, and they're like having this big drama in the end. It's like, do you mind if I have the last piece of toast? And it's like, oh yeah, it's fine. And then it's done, but it's this big dramatic thing like, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if it comes off like I'm worried about what you're going to say. I just had something happen. And it's this big, and when that happens to me, I'm like, please tell me what it is, or don't talk to me. Just do whatever it is.
Yeah, I've only seen you really in a shame spiral a couple of times when we were dating. That's the only times I've seen you in some shame shit.
On the Fight Music tour.
And it was not attractive.
No, I was fucked.
It wasn't attractive. Fair call. Your whole purpose was dying at the time. So it was
dying,
a big deal.
and I felt like all of it was on my shoulders. All of it was on my shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, we can laugh about it now, but at the time it was awful.
Yeah, and we did still have laughing moments throughout it. I was dealing with heartbreak.
There was a lot going on
multiple levels. Multiple levels.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a big time. Whereas, with me, shame is actually quite a familiar territory for me. It's a frequency that I quite enjoy, actually, if I'm fully honest about it. Yeah. I find it kinky, to be in shame, and it often activates in my body, and I notice it when I'm talking to men, when I want something and I feel like I'm too much, like I'm going to be too much, and I feel how my voice constricts, and I try to minimize it, and I try to like apologize for it, and I've been really trying to practice just being more immediate and relentless with what I feel and what I can sense. And it bit me in the ass recently. Yeah. Bit me in the ass recently. Yeah. Because I was sensing things, I was feeling things in this connection with this person, and I didn't name it because of shame. I was like, oh, it's going to be too much. I'm being too forward. I'm being too this. I'm not cool enough. I'm going to be chilled, blah, 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 all this fucking shit. And in the end, when I finally did ask to have a conversation to name some things, the person hijacked it and was like, actually, I got this to say. Fully swooped in.
Said the things that you didn't say.
That's so hilarious.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the courage to say it, but because I opened the opportunity, then they swooped in and took it. And I was like, that's so fucked. I felt so ripped off. But the lesson for me in that is, I've had to constantly remind myself, Alpha, you're not too much. You're just you.
Yeah.
This is how you are. Alpha, you're an extremely intuitive, fucking brilliant energy reader, and you can read the future a lot of times.
Yeah.
If you don't say your shit, it'll come back and bite you in the ass. So I've had to fucking really like work on that fawn response, because that's what it is for me. When the shame comes in, I'm fawning. I'm like, but then you won't like me. You won't think I'm a pretty girl anymore. If I tell you that I'm angry, if I tell you that because fuck, I hate it when people like, are not in integrity, and I'll see it immediately and I want to call it, but I feel like I can't do that because then they'll take their love away from me. It's like, bitch, let them take their love away from you.
That's called the coward's bargain.
Yeah, fuck fucking hell. And I'm learning that over and over again to not negotiate with cowards.
Yeah, because it makes you a coward.
Exactly. And I don't want to be that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Which is why I also want to be this, step into this new role, because I feel like it's going to be a really clear exchange. It's like I can be completely my loving, adoring, devotional, totally committed lover that I love to be. And in response, you pay me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You appreciate the incredible love that you receive from me with money.
Yeah.
Because right now it's this unspoken thing, right? Like, I'm going to love you, you're going to love me back. But it doesn't happen. It's like, it's not reciprocated, or people can't meet me at the level that I want them to. And then there's resentment. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I just want it to be fucking clear, in the same way that if there was like a person offering the service that I want to offer, 100% I would fucking pay money for it.
Yeah.
I would 100%
multiple times you've
pay
said
money.
This. Do you know of any men this, any
men
that?
Yeah, like, where are there? Are there any like amazing men who, obviously there needs to be attraction there, but who can hold the space, like, to relate and to bring, a level of consciousness in the relationship, but who want to be in service, who want to be devoted to, but who can fucking hold that powerful space.
Yeah.
Because I've looked at heaps of escorts and I just already know, just reading the profiles, I'm like, I know what this is going to be. This is not what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like you could have an escort that sees many people and not fight to be the special one?
It depends, because I've realized lately that for me, if a person knows how to make me feel special, they can make other people feel special. That's fine. Just don't stop making me feel special.
Yeah.
Because, significance is one of my favorite drugs.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
And what I find is it's rare that people can continue to make you feel special, because we're driven by our emotions. But if you can, then yeah, that's fine. I don't need to know who your other clients are. Like, if I go and see my acupuncturist, I don't get jealous that he's treating other clients.
But I feel like that's very different.
Well,
because you have these threads, like, like, why do you end up being monogamous with people when you're like...
Because there's no clear exchange.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, if money's in the equation... It's clear I'm paying you for your service. Like, if I'm paying someone to be my lover, then I get to define the terms of that relationship. And so do they. They tell me, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. Yep. And I can say, cool, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. This is what the exchange is. Like, I fucking love it when I go see Bruce, the body magician. And I know I've paid him my money. Yeah. And so I get to fucking surrender and fully trust him that he wants the best experience for me, and that he's in total service and devotion to me, and my body just opens like a fucking flower, and then I just get to have the most incredible releases. Because I fucking paid him. Yeah. Right? If we were just mates hanging out, like, could you do this? I would feel like, I'm taking up too much of your time, blah, blah. It even happens with you and me. Yeah. Like, I don't ask you for a lot of cuddles anymore because I'm like, you got a boyfriend now, and, I've got to be respectful and blah, blah, blah. And so for me to have an intentional space that is for me, that I've paid for, like, as a really powerful, dominant woman, that would be a breath of fresh air. Yeah. Because it's rare that I meet a man who can hold that space for me.
Nice. Cool. There's times when I have a new body worker, is like... in the first session, I'm always like receiving, but I'm like, this is so nice. I feel like I want to give them something back, even if I paid.
I know that
If I paid, I feel like I need to give them a massage, or like give them something special that's like of my transmission or whatever it is, rather than just money. It's like they're transmitting something that's more than just money to me, But I need to slowly go, no, this is the exchange,
Yeah. Oh, totally. I know that feeling. I often get that as well. And that's why I love money. I love money as a clear indicator of exchange, when it's agreed on, when the person who set the price is happy with the price that they've set and knows what they can provide for that price. It's so fucking relieving, actually. It takes all the confusion out of it. And, right now, in the space of romantic relationships, I feel like I need to reset all my parameters and figure out what it is that I want from my romantic relationships and partnerships. Some new stuff came in for me recently when I realized I don't need exclusivity, but I need commitment. I do need commitment. I realized that. Like I was journaling today, and what came through was like, I will only commit to people who are committed to love. That's the people that I can actually commit to. And a lot of people aren't committed to love. You know, it's not a value for a lot of people. So I'm going to revisit that. But in the space of healthy exchange, yes, I will pay for intimacy.
Yeah.
Because it's a high value for me. If it's quality, fucking oath I will pay for it.
So one thing I know you've already talked about this before, and you have that stance. You know, we watch a lot of RuPaul, and the key ending of every episode is if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else? And taking that further of like, a relationship won't fix everything. Yet I want to highlight that since I've been with Tim, I've not had a dip. 9 months is a really good run so far.
Yeah.
Of like, life has only continuously got better for me, like money, programs, influence, nervous system, our relationship, like relationships with people like yourself and those that are close to me. Everything, like with Acacia, like everything just has just improved quite dramatically since being with him. I've obviously had things go on in my life, as in like injuries or like something's gone wrong with my car or whatever, but nothing that's like set me into a shame spiral, set me into like, I'm not worthy, blah blah blah.
You're on an uptrend. Statistically, the trend is going up.
Consistently going up, and it's like, is it the relationship? Like if we were to break up, would my life plummet, or would it be like, no, I'm just on an up trajectory, and it's, yes, he is there. Like, I'm very curious about that. Like, I don't have any answers, but I just want to...
Only one way to find out.
Tim! It's over! Get out! Is like, how that... Am I just on a 9-month spree right now? Is it my relationship? Is it something else? Is it a collective of things? But just that thing of like, people saying like, no, you've got to be right within yourself first to be in a relationship or whatever, or to have a good life.
I think there's truth in both, I think I can hold the truth in both. Like on one hand, like in relation to you and Tim, I mean, Tim is a really healthy person. Yeah. Let's just name that. Yeah. He's a healthy person who does his internal work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you're dating someone who has no self-awareness and whose life is in a fucking shambles already, and let's face it, some of the men that I've dated have been that case, right?
Yeah.
They don't do any fucking personal development or do any therapy or anything. Don't even read any books. Have no capacity for self-awareness or reflection, or can't take any criticism, or have healthy conversations in uncomfortable moments. Of course, my life is going to fucking go downhill if I'm in a relationship with
Excuse me, men that are listening that do personal development, can you please shoot your shot at Alpha Mama so she stops dating these guys that don't do their work? Sick of her getting broken up with, me having to go get hot chips for her.
Look, I as much as, it's been a roller coaster, at the same time it's been so good for me. I've learned so much.
Yes.
I've learned fucking so much. I love it.
There's lessons, definitely.
There's lessons, and I've done it consensually. I know what I'm doing. But I think if you two healthy people who take responsibility for your lives, and if it is a really good partnership, then I think a good relationship should enhance your life and should improve your life, which is partly the reason why I'm not getting into relationships. Like I'm dating and I'm exploring things, but I haven't met anyone this year who I feel like can actually make my life better than what it is without them. And until I find someone like that, I'm just not going to entertain any kind of partnership, really. That's what it's about. Yeah. Having said that, I remember when I dated Atlas, this is, when we started dating in 2013, he taught me what like a healthy person was.
Yeah.
He taught me what self-love was. He taught me what love can look like.
Yep.
Up until then, I'd been doing relationships or whatever, but I had never seen the world the way he taught me to see the world. And I think that sometimes a person can teach you like what healthy love looks like. And it's not like you can't have that until you love yourself. I think sometimes, maybe by accident, who knows why, but someone can come into your life and show you what is possible. And then through that, you can learn to love yourself better. I think that is totally possible.
100%. Yeah. I feel like it's very limiting to say you have to love yourself before. But I also agree with the sentiment. It's like, at least work on it,
Definitely. And at least be at the space where you can recognize what healthy love is, or where you can recognize a person who wants the best for you, who genuinely is for you and wants to support you and wants to be on your team. You think that is common, but it's actually not. The amount of unchecked sabotage, shadowy, ill intentions that people can have, it's actually really rife. I know I've had a lot of partners in the past who said they were on my team but actually weren't, will bring me down at any opportunity, and they weren't doing it consciously. It's unconscious behavior. But if I couldn't, and at the time I couldn't spot it, and I was totally blind. And then when you meet someone who's like genuinely for you, it's fucking different, and you would know that, right?
Yep.
But Atlas was probably the first person that I was like, wow, you actually love me, like beyond anything that I can do for you. You just love me, and you just want me to be happy and well. Like that was magical.
Yep. Yeah, that's, I think, very important to have that. This is okay. My nervous system is fine.
Yeah, I'm safe.
Yeah. So, I do want to talk about it. We've mentioned the record label a couple of times in this episode.
Go for it.
And it also does tie into me of like that level of one. Like earlier you said, like, the have of releasing an album, and that makes you a happy person, and this trajectory I'm on of just like everything is just going up. The other day, so if you've listened to all the podcasts, you've heard me talk about it before, is the other day I'm chilling, I'm doing things, I'm working here, and then I look on my phone and I have a message from a friend, and it's Viking N3's album. It's out. I've been waiting for this for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And instantly I felt this weight just go.
Wow.
Like,
huge.
And I hadn't even listened to it. I didn't even know if there was, because we had a falling out. I was like, there probably is some shit about me on there. Who knows? I know at one point there was discussion about he was going to make a song about what happened. I did see that there is a secret album that he's NFT'd called The Director's Cut that he says has more personal stuff on there that I will go get at some point. But it was just instantly for me like, yeah, a weight off my shoulders, off my soul, off my chest, off my heart, off my mind, that I knew I was carrying to an extent, but I didn't know it was going to drop off that intensely. Like, as soon as I just saw, like, Raven Sonata, Viking N3, I was like, oh my god, like, epic.
Wow.
Cancelled everything I had to do. Clients, I had to meet Tim at a certain time, gonna have to wait. Got all my things. I got like this black cockatoo feather that I found a black cockatoo one time we were camping and we had one each. Got that. I got some things that was from our friendship and like from the Fight Music era. Went and set up a space in the garden in nature and took some mushrooms, had some cacao. Looked through the history of like our journey together, like all different videos, things that I made, things I feature in, songs, tours that we went on. I went and like just immersed myself in it and listened and just had the most incredible journey. I was just like, oh, it's here, like I helped record a lot of this. I sat there and jammed lyrics with this. I helped pick out these fucking tedious sounds because he did everything, wrote lyrics, he produced all the beats, mixed, mastered, directed this, rah rah, but I was a part of that process for a certain extent until I was gone. So it was somehow like it felt like it was also my project. It's his, 100% his, but also felt like my project as well. You know, something that had been sitting in me that I couldn't personally put out unless I leaked it. But yeah, what a relief, and just felt like I'm open to so much more in life now. Like, even though I had done some cutting ties with him, rituals, and have moved on and done so much since we've been together, like, it was just such a relief for me. And you know, we've talked about it on this podcast, like, is it ever going to come out? What's he doing? You know, I was just really fucking happy for him as well. You know, there's an element of me like feeling a bit controlling, like watching, how is he marketing this? Is he doing it correct? You know, like, and I'm like, no. It's fucking his. Let him do what he's got to do.
Yeah. You know, I think it's really interesting hearing you talk because, you know, I have similar feelings with some of the artists that I've mentored and worked with over the years, and when they release things, like for example, Alice Knight, you know, when she just like dumps her album on Spotify, that, you know, like I'm such a big fan of hers, and I'm so invested in her success, and I think she's so wonderful and, you know, magical and all of that, and feeling like so invested, like you want to help, you want to make it happen, and then like, you know me, I've often had like feelings of resentment as well sometimes when an artist grows beyond a certain level and they don't need me anymore, and then I feel upset that, you know, I can't be involved or they don't need me anymore, right? And this has happened a few times, but I've been mentoring one artist for some time now for money, you know. They pay me for my coaching and they see me, and it's beautiful to see how clean I feel around them having success, and like they're doing really well and getting all these opportunities, and every aspect of their musical growth I can fully celebrate for them because the exchange is clear.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, you paid me for my time. You paid me for my expertise. You paid me for my mentoring. You paid me for this resource, you know? And I feel like a lot of my resentment and you know, stuff in relationships and with these artists, the same thing, is because the exchange wasn't clear and wasn't reciprocal. So I feel like right now, I feel like money is the answer to everything.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's not the answer to everything, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, for sure. That to know that there's a clean exchange, like that, this equals this, you know, like that's really important in that coaching space. And yeah, like, I don't know, I just feel so relieved, you know, and I wish him the best. It's a part of me wishes, you know, maybe in the future that I'd love to do the tell-all, you know, between us, you know, that it involves so many people and what happened and rah. And but also maybe artistically he has already did that, because I don't know what this director's cut is, you know, and I was fully willing and would have championed, you know, anything they said, even if it was like false news about me, like go, you know, like artistry, because that's me, separate the art from the artist, you know. And like, you know, I told certain people of like, you know, I did whatever, I fucking listened to the album as immediate as I could, and they're like, but you two aren't on good terms. I'm like, I fucking think he's an amazing artist, you know.
You're a fan first.
I'm a fan, and I always was a fan first, you know. And afterwards I sent him an email and just gave him a review of the album, and just said like, anything that feels tied in with me, I'm just stating that it's can't, you know, put some personal things I don't want to mention, but then just ended it with like, I just want you to know, beyond anything that's between us, like, I am still that 17-year-old that snuck into that nightclub to watch someone else and saw you and was forever in love with your art.
Did you send him that message?
Yeah, I sent him an email.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did he reply?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shit.
And yeah, I will always support and watch and do, you know, like even before he released the album, when I saw he got back on Instagram, and I felt the energy. I was like, no, he's dropping this time. And he came back online, and I sent him a DM, and I was like, I'm watching, I'm waiting, you know?
True, huge. Oh man, it is a difficult thing when, you know, you are genuinely in love with the music. You know, and how invested. You know, I feel that way about Milan, and, you know, we're not friends anymore. But I love her, and I've always loved her music, you know, and always wanted to contribute and support in that way. Same with Nadine, you know, big fan of her poetry and her heart, you know, and all of that. And it can get like, when you have friendships and then there's music, and it can get so messy and tangled up because it's inherently emotional. You know, artists, like, you know, all of it is fucking emotional. It's our personal stories that we're weaving, and man, it's a lot. Like, I'm thinking about, so there's I don't know, we haven't touched this on this podcast, but it's a big thing that's happening in the music industry at the moment. So the CEO of Sony, right, Dennis Handlin, has finally, is it Dennis? Pat, which one's the son? I think Dennis Handlin's the CEO, the dad, has been sacked because of abuse in the workplace and things like that. And there's problematic stuff everywhere coming out. And it's a big thing, you know, because he's been like that. He's been, you know, the terror of Sony for so long for the staff there, but nobody felt they could speak up, and it's only finally coming out. And there's, you know, there's a really epic woman who shared her story and basically was the thread that unraveled everything. And when you think about people like you and me who have had roles in supporting artists releasing their music, and how invested we get emotionally, you know, think about the CEO of a company. You know, they don't do that shit only because it's a business. I know that they would do it because musically they're like, you know, they love music. They love it. You know, I don't think you can be in the music business without loving music. It's not possible.
No.
And I know that this guy, this Sony CEO, was a problematic dude, but it just makes me think about you know, A&Rs and like big knobs in the industry. Like, how do they feel? How do they feel? Like, or even smaller record labels.
Smaller knobs.
Smaller knobs, yeah. Like when you're the head of a label, and say you're a small indie label, and then one of your artists outgrows you and goes on to do something else. So all of that shit, as much as it's business, is personal as fuck. It's personal.
I've seen it, you know, like I know the people that were managing the Kid Laroi before. We know the person that was two of the people that were managing the Kid Laroi. Now he's the biggest artist, like biggest up and coming artist in the world, you know, like over in the States. He's signed to, what's his name, the one that managed Taylor Swift, and now manages Justin Bieber as well.
I can't remember his name.
Scooter Braun. Scooter Braun. He's managed by Scooter Braun, you know, like the biggest manager there is. He's amazing. Everywhere, you know, he's friends with Drake, he's hanging out with this person, that person, Kanye West, like everyone knows who he is, he's top of the charts. And I know how much it hurt the people that were starting with him, that found him and pulled him out of Redfern when he was, like, they started with him when he was 13, you know, like...
I remember when I first started getting into management, sorry to cut you off, I sat down with my old manager, and she gave me some advice. She was like, whoever you're mentoring, write a contract straight away and negotiate that when you pass them on to whoever they're going to afterwards, you keep recouping, like, and it goes down per year. I never did that shit. I never did that shit.
I did that with Viking. Very important.
Very, very, very important. Yeah, but at the time, I was so naive. I just wanted to help. I just want to help you because I believe in your music. And it was so much misdirected energy because it was easier for me to back someone else's talent than to back my own, because it's fucking terrifying to back yourself. It's terrifying.
It happens, you know, it's a part of the business, part of the industry, and I understand, like, everyone's positions, you know, like... The Kid Laroi had to do that, you know, like you had to choose that.
You have to.
Like, he wouldn't be where he was if he didn't make those choices. And also,
you gotta have that ruthlessness if you want to be a successful artist.
Just that level of ruthlessness at that age, amazing.
It's amazing, yeah.
Good on him.
But I often think, is it astrology? Is it this? Is it that? Because I don't have it. I don't have it. For me, if I have the choice, between like selling all my friends out to get the biggest record deal of my life and like becoming a megastar, I would not take it.
Yeah, but that's not what the Kid Laroi done either,
I'm not
but
saying,
like
yeah.
There's ways to ethically be ruthless, and I think that's what, for instance, like coming back to being unapologetic. The future of being unapologetic isn't fuck you, sell out everyone else. Is how to ethically do it, but be ruthless and willing to sit in the fire and willing to sit in all the feelings that come up, and not rather than go fuck you, push everything out. Yeah. It's like, I'm moving forward and I'm going to feel all that I need to feel to move through there.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who does that.
You don't?
Well, not in my immediate circle anyway. There's a lot of emotional bypassing that has to happen for you to reach career milestones. That's my observation. Yeah. It's like, I want this, and yeah, I know I'm hurting some people right now, but I can't think about that. I don't have the time to stop and think about that and have those delicate conversations and blah, 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 because this is more important. This is where I'm going.
I don't want to name names, but I feel like a lot of people we know do it, but just maybe not the way that you want it. Maybe. That you don't have to sit and have the conversation each time you go through. You don't have to have a conversation with no one. You don't owe it to anyone in the end, but can you sit in it, and can you have that conversation with yourself? It's great if you can also talk to everyone else, but if it's business doesn't have to be friendship. It doesn't have to be friendship, but it's a willingness to sit with it to that extent and really feel through it.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's a personal thing. How can you say if someone has felt through it properly, or if they, who can say? I just know that, when I see my peers who are successful, more successful than I am, the one trait that they all have in common is the ability to not think about how other people feel. That's what it is. It's like you get one track and you just go, this is what I need to do for me. And I need to make the decisions that are going to serve me and what I want. Yeah. And that's what works.
I think for me is what I see around that is holding the place of love. People that I see around is they can shut off. I don't have to care what everyone else thinks. They can put the blinders on, but then also do it from a place of love, not a place of middle fingers blazing your way through. It's I'm going to feel all that comes up and move through it rather than fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. It's yeah, I'll be with it. And when it's right, maybe I'll reach out to them or do something that does involve all of that or gives back or something like that, from people that I talk to within our community that are in that space, because that's something I'm so curious about. And I ask quite often of our friends that make more money than us, that do bigger ticket stuff than us, that have bigger influences, that sold more records, whatever it is I ask, what do you do in that space? How are you staying ethical? How are you staying in integrity? How are you keeping the values that we do, and I think that's the important part. And also knowing the role of each person, you don't owe it to everyone, you don't owe it to the person that does your graphic design if you just move on, that's just a part of it. And that's, I think it's finding that line between business and friendship and not having to be friends with everyone, it's still a lesson I'm doing, as feeling I've got to be friends with absolutely every single one of my clients, and I don't feel like that, but it just happens, and being able to go I'm just here for a service and that's it, I can be nice and hold the place of love, but we're not friends, but everyone that I am friends with that are my clients, I do like being friends with them, and finding that balance.
Yeah, I hear that. It's the same thing as your friends aren't your fans. Yeah. Not always. Yeah. Or if you're starting a business or you're making a record and you so want your friends to be your fans. You so want your friends to support you and share your stuff and come to your shows, but they're not. They're not your fans. They're your friends. Yeah. Yeah. No. Maybe if you need to borrow $100, maybe you can call them, or if you need a place to crash because you're homeless, whatever. But it's I
They're not going
definitely
to come to your concert and all your workshops and whatnot.
I have had to unlearn the entitlement around that for sure, because
Yeah.
you know, I was like the ultimate like fucking, why don't you support everything that I do?
Yeah. You also do a lot, you know, so it's like, how am I gonna, I've got to live my own life, you know. My life isn't just, that was like me with frequency. It's like, I came to a few, but I wasn't coming because throughout my sleep I was an old man. It'd get loud after a while, you know, like
100%.
Everyone would float around afterwards forever. It's like, nah, like, I love what you're doing, but it's not for me, you know?
Yeah. Everybody has to have their own shit, and you have to find your own fans and your own clients away from your friends and your family.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything that we really wanted to touch on that we haven't? I feel like it's coming to a close.
Yeah, no, I feel like we should just go straight into final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
What do you got? Here we go.
It's not a final thought. It's just I was reflecting. I had a ritual today. I did a ritual outside where I ate an orange and I cut it with my bank card, my business card. Oh. And it was like a ritual that symbolized really clear exchange and boundaries in my pleasure. And I don't know, I just felt like sharing that for whatever reason.
Cool.
It was just in my mind.
Your final thought is cut your oranges with a bank card.
Yeah.
No, finding ritual in different ways. For me, it's like, if something's good, don't take it for granted and actually stay present with the journey, meditate on it, do your clearing, like, actually look at the shit rather than go, everything's good now. Like, don't also obsess over the things that are bad, but also be willing to go, what else is there? Like, how can I best utilize this goodness? Whether it's relationship, whether it's a new hobby, whether starting a movement, like, how do you best show up and go, I'm making sure I'm respecting this and, like, giving back to it and removing anything out of the way that possibly would make me want to sabotage it or not fully receive it. That's the thing, is just fully receive. Like, how can you make sure you can continuously open up? And I would say just like spending time on journaling, meditating, clearing, whatever it is that you use as your divining tool to move shit out of the way. Because in my life right now, things feel really, really good, and it's coming from doing the clears as well, you know, doing the meditation, doing whatever it is I'm staying in tune with what I'm doing, you know. Even I'm on my phone so much right now on computer, but I'm going to the gym, I'm meditating, I'm doing my clears, and keeping that in balance as well. That's important to me. Nice.
That's how you stay in that golden thread there.
Yes. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, don't think it'll just last forever without you continuing to show up in a way that you did previously.
Nice. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. I guess one question that I often ask my clients when things are going really well is like, well, what's working?
Yeah.
You know, what's currently working? What are the things that you're doing or that are in your environment that you can replicate to, like, keep creating this awesome shit that you're manifesting? Like, let's just keep that. Don't change a winning formula.
Yeah, don't change the winning formula.
100%. Do more of what works.
Yeah. Epic. So for anyone that's listening, please share with us what you needed today. I love that you continuously do that, getting the messages, getting the comments, but continue to share. It really does get us out there. And yeah, we appreciate you. We love you.
We love you.
Bye.